Welcome to the week ahead from The Spectator. It has been another typical August that is full of the most daunting problems which governments around the world now are confronting themselves with, specifically Iraq. History is not conforming either to David Cameron or Barack Obama's expectations. It looks more dangerous and murkier than ever. Douglas, what's happened over the weekend? How do things look right now?
Well, finally there has been some international action on the progress of ISIS, now calling themselves the Islamic State, which have been, of course, moving from Syria into Iraq in recent months, and have now, when the world has really started to see with the plight of the Yazidi populations, the terrible humanitarian costs of this ISIS group going unchecked, finally there has been an effort to go in and do something about it. America has done a few limited strikes. This country has sent a plane load of assistance of humanitarian kind, but this is the very beginning of it. Nobody really knows yet how successful what strikes have already occurred will have been. We may not know that for some time. And it may be the case, of course, that this week those strikes will need to step up if they haven't yet hit the targets that are needed.
Isabel, neither David Cameron nor Barack Obama are breaking their holidays, but there is growing calls for Parliament to reconvene. Do you think it will?
I think it should, because there is growing debate outside of the parliamentary calendar, which is about whether or not we should intervene more, whether we should be intervening less, whether we're supporting other groups. It's not just the Yazidi people who are struggling, it's the Christians who are being cut in half by ISIS. The Vicar of Baghdad has been speaking really powerfully about that over the past few days. And the fact this debate is happening outside of Parliament, because no one's in Parliament, is not good enough, actually. MPs should be in Parliament discussing what should happen. So Conor Burns and Nick Dubois, two Tory MPs, have called for a recall, and they've called for further action to take place. This debate shouldn't just be taking place in newspapers, it should be taking place in the House of Commons. But so far Number 10 has said that no recall is on the cards.
So Douglas, we read that Britain has sent in some special forces to Iraq to accompany the humanitarian troops. But Barack Obama has said he seems to have ruled out ground troops and would say that the same way that America did before the Kosovo campaign. How much can be achieved with airstrikes, do you think?
Well, I mean, the important thing first, I think, is the significance of so-called boots on the ground to Americans, and particularly to Obama in this, is striking. Remember that when Obama removed American troops from Iraq, he said a decade of war is over.
That was the address when he was re-elected.
Yes, he was. This was a totemic thing that although Bush had sent people into Iraq, he was the person who had brought them out. And of course, it is that thing of boots on the ground that is so dangerous in public opinion terms in America. Americans have grown used to airstrikes, of drone strikes. They're used to this going on almost uncommented upon in parts of the world.
And also, Obama has found these drone strikes to be working rather effectively in Pakistan. I mean,
yes.
he was far keener than anybody expected to pursue a drone strategy. Do you think he's encouraged by success there and thinks we can replicate it here?
Well, it is certainly the case. Obama grew very fond of drone strikes, and there are various reasons, though, why in the Pakistan-Afghan border regions those are particularly successful. One is, without being too cynical about it, one is that the world's attention really isn't on that. So that any collateral damage, as it's called, which is actually very minimal in the case of drone strikes, but is not focused on in the same way that, for instance, if any of these strikes in Iraq went wrong, hit the wrong people, so the world's attention really would be on it. So it is very perilous. Having said that, there is certainly, I think, the possibility that ISIS can be significantly set back by a purely aerial campaign. And I think that's what should be focused on for the time being, that purely doing it from the sky, purely with the intention of stopping or at least significantly setting back ISIS from the sky, in order that then the Iraqi government troops and others can do whatever they can on the ground. If they fail at that, again, then it's possible that other things will have to be weighed up.
So do you imagine that the new Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, will right now be looking at contingency plans to step up more offensive military action? For example, can we expect British bombers to follow American ones in weeks ahead?
We can't at the moment. Michael Fallon's been very clear that the extent of our involvement is helping with the humanitarian aid effort and assisting with airdrops.
Has he suggested that he wouldn't go any further, or what?
He hasn't ruled it out, though, and that was the story over the weekend, that if you're about to witness a genocide, you can't rule anything out. That's what sources were saying, and that's another reason why we should go back to Parliament, because actually ministers need to stand on the floor of the House of Commons and set out what their plans are and what they are ruling out and what they're not ruling out.
Mm-hmm. And Douglas, it's funny, I'm reminded of the old Trotsky saying that you may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you. In other words, you can't legislate for a quiet world. Obama can't declare a decade of war is over. We can't declare we've had enough of Iraq. World events happen in a way where the public expects Britain to respond.
It is so striking when you see events in recent days to be reminded once again of the fact something terrible is happening in the world, something absolutely unbelievable. It's on the front pages of everyone's newspapers. Once again, politicians, the public, papers say something must be done. But the only country in the world that can do something, and we all basically admit it, when someone says something must be done, whether you're pro-American, anti-American, pro-Bush, pro-Obama, the world turns to America. It's America we expect to do something, because it's America that's got the kit. And in that should be a lesson for the rest of us. It is all very well to care, it is all very well to recall Parliament, it's all very well to talk, but if you haven't got the kit to do something, there's nothing you can do.